Imagine a secret room in Buckingham Palace. No cameras, no guests, no flashes. Only velvet, silence, and the shimmer of jewels the world was never meant to see. There, locked away behind bolts and codes, lie tiaras so rare that photographs of them are nearly non-existent. Tiaras bearing the marks of empires, adorned with diamonds gifted by shahs and padishahs, tiaras that belonged to Queen Elizabeth II and which, for some mysterious reason, she never once wore in public. Why? What made them so dangerous, so compromising, or too personal? Today, we are going to open the most hidden drawer of the British crown, and believe me, this won't just be a tale of jewels. It's a story of love, betrayal, politics, and fear. Tiaras that vanished after scandals, jewels tied to cursed marriages, diadems that could have sparked international conflict. We'll reveal what you'll never see in official portraits and explain why even the Queen herself dared not wear them. As far as we know, Elizabeth received her first tiara as a gift from her mother on her 18th birthday in April 1944. Queen Elizabeth chose the Cartier Halo tiara from her own collection for her daughter. At the time, it was easier to pass down a tiara than to purchase a new one. The Diamond Halo tiara is composed of 16 graduated scrolls set with 739 brilliant cut diamonds and 149 baton cut diamonds. Each scroll is separated by a graduated diamond, and a large diamond sits at the center, all crafted by the famed French jeweler Cartier. The tiara was purchased by the then Duke of York from Cartier in London in November 1936, likely using his inheritance from his father, King George V, who had died earlier that same year. Although Princess Elizabeth was never photographed wearing the Cartier Halo tiara, she frequently lent it to her sister, Princess Margaret, from the 1940s through the 1960s. Years later, the Queen loaned the Cartier Halo tiara to her only daughter, Princess Anne, who wore it for her first tiara appearance at the age of 17 at the state opening of Parliament in 1967, when she and Prince Charles joined the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh for the annual ceremony. The Cartier Halo tiara remained in storage until the Queen loaned it to Kate Middleton for her wedding to Prince William at Westminster Abbey in 2011. When she wore the tiara as the new Duchess of Cambridge, its scroll motifs were echoed in her diamond earrings featuring scrolls and acorns, elements of the Middleton family crest, gifted to her by her parents for the wedding. Since then, the Cartier Halo tiara has been displayed around the world, including at the Royal Wedding Exhibition at Buckingham Palace in 2012 and the Cartier Exhibition at the National Gallery of Australia in Canberra. While the palace decides who will next wear this exquisite tiara, let's move on to the next masterpiece. After Queen Mary's death in 1953, Elizabeth inherited a number of tiaras, many of which she wore regularly. However, among this legacy were tiaras that Elizabeth never wore publicly. One of them was a classic diamond bandeau. Known previously as the filigree tiara, it comprises 11 sections laced with interlocking ovals and pave-set diamonds, both large and small, featuring a central removable brooch made of 10 diamonds. It was made for Queen Mary in 1932 to accommodate the central diamond brooch, which had been given to her as a wedding present by the County of Lincoln in 1893. Although not her favorite, Queen Mary wore the bandeau to less formal occasions, typically gala performance in her later years. She also lent it to her daughter-in-law, Princess Marina, for a ball in 1935. After her death, the bandeau was passed to Queen Elizabeth. The diamond bandeau of Queen Mary, unseen for over 60 years, was loaned by the Queen to Meghan Markle for her wedding to Harry at St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, where she became the Duchess of Sussex. But let's examine the next piece in our story. When Elizabeth married Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark in November 1947, she received a wedding gift from her new mother-in-law, the Princess of Greece and Denmark. The meander tiara, adorned with diamonds set in a Greek key motif, a central laurel wreath, and a large diamond flanked by 2 diamond honeysuckle flowers, was likely crafted by Cartier. Its origins are uncertain, though it may have been fashioned from a diamond necklace tiara once belonging to Princess Alice. The tiara was first worn in a portrait series in 1914, a year after the death of her father-in-law, King George I of Greece, as Prince Andrew was expected to inherit. The meander tiara stayed with Princess Andrew during the Greek royal family's frequent exiles, kept in a London bank vault while she was institutionalized in Switzerland, though it was likely worn again after her return to Greece in the late 1930s before being sent back to London. After her aquamarine tiara was dismantled to create an engagement ring and bracelet, Princess Andrew passed the meander tiara to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth II, who never appeared publicly in it. In the late 1960s, around the time Princess Alice came to live with the British royal family at Buckingham Palace, the meander tiara was passed to Princess Anne, who wore it at many of her early appearances. Elizabeth received another treasure trove of inherited jewels in 2002, upon the death of her mother at the age of 101. By that time, Elizabeth had already amassed a formidable tiara collection and never publicly wore most of the dazzling pieces she received from her mother. When Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon married the Duke of York in 1923, the Earl of Strathmore gifted his younger daughter the magnificent Strathmore Rose tiara, which could also be worn with 5 sapphires in place of the diamonds at the center of each wild rose. Like many other wedding gifts, the tiara was displayed to the public at St. James's Palace. The new Duchess of York notably wore the Strathmore Rose tiara in a series of portraits in the early to mid-1920s, paired with the Tech flower brooch and Cartier bracelets widely published during her husband's accession in 1936. In 1935, the Duchess wore the sapphire version of the Strathmore Rose tiara with a sapphire brooch to the Royal Variety performance, marking her last public appearance in it for decades. In 2002, the Strathmore Rose tiara was displayed to the public, and in 2023, it was worn by Princess Catherine. Elizabeth also appears to have inherited another 1920s piece in 2002, the Lotus Flower tiara. In 1923, Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon received a wedding gift from the Duke of York, a pearl and diamond necklace, which she soon transformed into the delicate tiara featuring lotus blossoms topped with diamond arches and pearls. It became one of the most recognizable looks for the Duchess in the 1920s, immortalized in portraits that gained wide circulation during her husband's accession in 1936. The following year, Queen Elizabeth loaned the Lotus Flower tiara to her elder sister, Lady Elphinstone, for the coronation of King George VI at Westminster Abbey. Lady Elphinstone was the mother of the Queen's famous niece, the Honorable Margaret Rhodes. In 1959, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, gave the tiara to her younger daughter, Princess Margaret, ahead of her wedding the following year. Although not as famous as her Poltimore tiara, she wore it regularly until her death. In 1993, Princess Margaret loaned the Lotus Flower tiara to the Honorable Serena Stanhope for her wedding to Margaret's only son, then Viscount Lindley, at St. Margaret's Church, Westminster. The tiara was also worn by Reginald Wilcock, the Queen Mother's page, who had served her for 40 years on Lindley's wedding day. After Margaret's death, the Lotus Flower tiara passed to the Queen, who lent it to the Duchess of Cambridge for a diplomatic reception in 2013 and the Chinese state banquet in 2015. Most recently, it was worn by Duchess Sophie in 2023. The Queen Mother's collection also included a delicate, sparkling Cartier bandeau, 5 Art Deco Cartier diamond bracelets, 3 accented with baguette rubies, emeralds, and sapphires, were gifted individually to the Duchess of York by the Duke on birthdays and Christmas from 1923 to 1925. In early portraits from the mid-1920s, the Duchess wore all 5 bracelets stacked on her arm. Upon receiving the 5th bracelet in 1925, she also acquired a bandeau fitting from Cartier, allowing her to wear the 3 as a headpiece. The Cartier bracelet bandeau was worn in the late 1920s and seen frequently before the Duke's accession. By the late 1930s, as fashion changed and the Duchess became queen, the bandeau had vanished from public view, and even the bracelets were seldom photographed, though they made a notable pair with Queen Mary's tiara in the couple's early official portraits. In the late 1970s, the Queen Mother gifted the Art Deco bracelets to her daughter, who wore them in various configurations at galas and state dinners. In 1983, the Queen lent one of the Cartier bracelets to her daughter-in-law, Diana, Princess of Wales. In recent years, the late Queen continued to wear the Cartier bracelets, though not as a tiara. And after her passing, Queen Camilla debuted the emerald Cartier bracelet at a Celebration of Shakespeare event in London in 2024. The Queen Mother's tiara collection also included several antique pieces gifted to her by Queen Mary. Among them was the Tech Crescent tiara. This tiara, adorned with 3 diamond roses separated by 20 diamond crescents, was created by Princess Mary Adelaide using jewels inherited from her aunt, Princess Mary, Duchess of Gloucester, daughter of King George III. The Duchess of Teck began wearing the tiara soon after Princess Mary's death in 1857, including to the wedding of Victoria, Princess Royal, and Prince Friedrich Wilhelm of Prussia in 1858. It remained her principal tiara after marrying the Duke of Teck. After the Duchess of Teck died in 1897, the crescent tiara and the accompanying diamond circlet necklace were inherited by her eldest son, Prince Adolphus, 2nd Duke of Teck, later the 1st Marquess of Cambridge. The tiara and necklace were depicted on the 2nd Duchess of Teck at the coronation of King George V in 1911, although it is unclear whether she still owned them or had borrowed them from Queen Mary, who, at some point, acquired both items from her brother and sister-in-law. Queen Mary was never portrayed in either the crescent tiara or the circlet necklace. She passed them to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, upon King George VI's accession in 1936. Queen Elizabeth began wearing the crescent tiara in the late 1930s. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, the Tech Crescent tiara, like all her jewels, was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. A few years ago, it was reported that the tiara had been loaned on a long-term basis to the current queen, Camilla, though she has yet to wear it publicly. Elizabeth also loaned Camilla the Delhi Derbar tiara. In 1911, when a new imperial crown of India was created for King George V to wear at the Delhi Derbar, Queen Mary commissioned a new tiara made from dismantled elements of the Boucheron tiara and other jewels in platinum and gold. Diamonds formed lyres and S-scrolls overlaid with diamond festoons, forming a complete circlet that encircled the king's head. The tiara originally featured 10 Cambridge emeralds and was later adapted to accommodate the Cullinan II and IV diamonds. After the lavish Derbar in 1911, King George V wrote to his mother, Queen Alexandra, that May wore her best tiara, which perfectly complemented the Delhi Derbar parure. Queen Mary wore the full set for the state opening of Parliament before their departure from London, and was photographed in the original version of the tiara in 1912 and 1913. She continued wearing the Delhi Derbar tiara in various adaptable forms throughout the 1920s and 1930s, including in portraits showing the Cullinan II and IV diamonds set in the center. When the royal family embarked on a 3-month tour of South Africa in 1947, the official purpose being the King and Queen's opening of the Union Parliament in Cape Town, Queen Mary loaned the Delhi Derbar tiara to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth. It is believed the tiara remained with Queen Elizabeth, but was not worn publicly during her lifetime. Upon her death in 2002, all her jewels were inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. However, as the wife of the late Queen Mother's beloved grandson, the Prince of Wales, many of these pieces were given on long-term loan to the Duchess of Cornwall. Just months after her 2005 wedding, the Duchess wore the Delhi Derbar tiara to a lavish state banquet during Norway's official visit to the UK, still the only time she has appeared in this tiara in public. Nevertheless, the tiara has been showcased at multiple exhibitions in royal palaces, including the 2012 Diamonds a Jubilee celebration at Buckingham Palace. The third tiara Elizabeth loaned to Camilla was her crown diadem. The original Greville tiara, also known as the Boucheron honeycomb tiara, was made in 1921 by Parisine jeweler Boucheron's Lucien Hertz, using diamonds from an earlier palmette tiara. It was shaped like a kokoshnik, with large diamonds inset into honeycomb patterns. Despite her legendary jewelry collection, Dame Margaret Greville was seldom photographed in extravagant pieces, though she may have worn this tiara to King George VI's coronation in 1937, where she was a personal guest of the King and Queen. Dame Margaret made it clear that she would leave Polesden Lacey to the then Duke and Duchess of York, but after their accession in 1937, she left the estate to the National Trust, news that emerged only after her death.
However, the bulk of her exquisite jewelry collection, valued in pieces over £100 each, was left to Queen Elizabeth, who had likely worn the Greville tiara and festoon necklace even before officially receiving them, notably during the famous 1938 royal visit to Paris. Due to the ongoing war, Queen Elizabeth could not wear the Greville tiara in public until 1947. Later, in 1953, the Queen Mother had Cartier adjust the tiara, adding height by modifying the upper row with a large marquise-cut diamond and 4 round diamonds from a dismantled brooch. It became her favorite piece, alternated with Queen Victoria's Oriental circlet for the remainder of her 5 decades as a widow. The Greville tiara remained a favorite even after she passed the age of 70. Upon her death in 2002, it was inherited by Queen Elizabeth. Like many of the Queen Mother's jewels, the Greville tiara is on long-term loan to the current Queen, the wife of King Charles. Camilla's own cubit Shan tiara remains in her family, while the Delhi Derbar was her first tiara at a state banquet. The Greville tiara debuted publicly at the Brazilian state banquet in 2006 and has since been worn at nearly every tiara-related event, including all state banquets and most diplomatic receptions.
And finally, one more tiara, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik. Comprising diamonds and rose-cut diamonds in a platinum setting, flanked by 6 emeralds on either side and a massive central emerald weighing 93.7 carats. The tiara was created by Boucheron in 1919 in the fashionable Kokoshnik style, popular at the Russian imperial court. It was made for society hostess, the Honorable Mrs. Ronald Greville. While evidence suggests she wore her stunning emeralds, Dame Margaret was indeed photographed in the emerald tiara. Unlike the diamond Greville tiara, the emerald Kokoshnik remained relatively unknown until Vincent Malin discovered an image in the Boucheron archives. The emerald Kokoshnik tiara remained unworn until Princess Eugenie chose it for her wedding. She paired the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik with diamond and emerald drop earrings, which were a wedding gift from her groom. After the wedding, the Greville Emerald Kokoshnik and the earrings were displayed alongside her wedding garments at Windsor Castle in the spring of 2019, but have not been seen since. So, which of these treasures do you think would have best adorned Queen Elizabeth during her reign?